Located some 700 kilometers north of Bangkok and with a population of just under 1 million people, the city of Chiang Mai, Thailand can be easily reached by a short 1-hour flight from Bangkok. Founded in 1296, Chiang Mai is steeped in history. In the rural areas of Chiang Mai, farmers can be seen laboring in the hot sun to plant 2 to 3 crops of rice per year, the staple of the Thai diet. But the city is a place of transition where one can find modern malls right next door to the still popular small markets. And of course, forms of transportation that can boggle the Western mind. But this presentation is not a travel documentary on Chiang Mai, but it contains the stories of abandoned, forgotten women. Although they are Thais, their stories are reflected in the lives of some 12 million women from all walks of life in every country of the world.
สวัสดีค่ะดิฉันชื่อกองเรียนศรีบุรินทร์ชื่อเล่นชื่อแดงค่ะปัจจุบันอายุ42ค่ะมาจากอุตรดิตถ์ค่ะ
Her name is Dang. She's 42 years old and she came to live at Baan Nuu Rain in February of 2009. Dang was born in the north of Bangkok to a very, very poor family who were laborers. She only had second-grade education and then had to come out of school because they couldn't afford to send her to school. She worked alongside her parents for many years as a laborer. Because of this, we think she married very, very young. He married a truck driver, and this man gave her the HIV virus. Being a truck driver, he traveled a lot and apparently went to different brothels and gave her the virus. She found out she was HIV when she was in her pregnancy. After she gave birth to her son, her husband died. And at this time, because of the HIV and the stigma attached to it, her in-laws, her mother-in-law, her sister-in-law, would have nothing to do with her. They would not help her out. She had no money. She had nowhere to go. At this time, a social worker she knew, because her little fellow was HIV, she told her of a place in the north of Chiang Mai called the Agape Home, a home for children with AIDS, and suggested that Dang send her little boy there, which she did. After this, she was able to get a job at a tile factory and get a very small apartment. Her idea was to work hard to save a bit of money and to get her son back again so she could look after him. The next part of the story is really hard. It was very hard for Dang to tell it. One Friday evening, she was coming out of the long, long driveway from the tile factory. It was a payday. She was accosted on her motorbike by 10 youth who knocked her to the ground. They wanted her money and she would not give it, her 1,300 baht. They knocked her to the ground and she was unconscious. They stole her money, left her for dead. She was left on the ground for 7 hours until a guard found her the next morning and took her to the hospital. Because of this, her left arm is almost useless. She thought she could go back to the tile factory and work, but because the owner said he'd take her back, but she couldn't do the work. She couldn't pay her rent at the apartment. They told her to leave. She had nowhere to go. She called up to where her son was and they told her about Nuu Rain. And she came to Nuu Rain. She's now one of our ladies. She's beautiful.
สวัสดีค่ะชื่ออธิพัฒน์เครือวันค่ะชื่อเล่นพัฒน์อายุ43ปีค่ะมาอยู่บ้านนูเรนได้1ปีกับอีก2เดือนค่ะ
Her name is Pat and she's 43 years old. She came to live at Baan Nuu Rain in the spring of 2008. Pat was married and had a little girl and they had a good life. Her husband had an auto body repair shop. They owned a house and a car and things were looking good for them. He was tragically killed in a car accident. But Pat, being the strong woman she was, got another job at a tour agency and was raising her daughter when 10 years later she had a debilitating stroke. When she was in the hospital, the doctor told her it was from HIV. She's, HIV? How could I have HIV? I've only been with one man my whole life. 10 years previous, her husband had infected her with the virus. She was so devastated. that she went to a private clinic, sold her house, her car, used up all her funds paying for antiretroviral drugs because she was so ashamed. She moved away to another district, cared for her daughter as long as she could, and even though the doctor said she would never walk again, she's such a determined woman, she did. But after a while, when all the money was gone, she got very, very depressed. Her daughter was sent to live with a relative. She went to say goodbye to some of her friends, and she was going to end her life. It was at this time that she met a woman named Ang, going to a church that told her about Baan Nuu Rain. She did call. She did move in. She's now regained her self-esteem. Pat is a very beautiful woman.
ขอบพระคุณทุกท่านค่ะที่ให้การช่วยเหลือบ้านนูเรนของเราขอบพระคุณค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะมาจากอะไรกันชื่อเมซูแล้วก็นามสกุลเดซแล้วก็มาจากลอปู
Her name is Miat So, and she's from the Sapatong district of Chiang Mai. She came to live at Baan Nuu Rain in November of 2008. She's approximately 32 years old. The reason I say approximately is she doesn't know when she was born. That's so hard for us to even understand, isn't it? Not to know your birthday. We don't know a lot about Miat So other than she is from the Red Karenni tribe. There were 2 men involved in her life. Her husband gave her the HIV virus. Her youngest daughter, Branny, is also infected. She has 2 other children, also another girl and another boy. Her husband is dying of HIV right now in the village. He is not on the antiretroviral drugs. We do not know why. She was banished from the area because of the stigma of the disease. She took her 3 children with her. With nowhere to go, she was found squatting in villages begging for food for her children. She heard of an Australian couple that was visiting one of the villages, and thinking they might be able to help her, she made it down to this other village, only to find out that they'd already left. She did have their contact information, and they were able to help her. Because of that, 2 of her children are in 2 different orphanages, and her youngest, Branny, is at the Agape Home, a home for children with AIDS. We were contacted to ask if we could take the mother. She's now staying with us. But our heart's desire is to see her eventually reunited with all 3 of her children.
ขอครูที่ช่วยบ้านนูเลสวัสดีค่ะ